So why don't we start with your home assignment? Could you open the file that's Academic Vocabulary 3 exercise, describing research methods. We're going to start as usual with 41.1. And this is what I want you to do. Could you please just read the sentence, filling the gap? We're starting with the first box, and right. Valeria, could you do the first two sentences, please?
The first sentences.
Yeah, the first two sentences, please.
Scientists disagree as to whether cold fusion, the controlled power of hydrogen bomb in the laboratory is possible. In the past,
Valeria, excuse me, just one thing. That's hydrogen.
How?
Hydrogen bomb.
Of hydrogen bomb in the laboratory is possible.
Valeria, excuse me. It's bomb. You don't pronounce B at the end of the word. Bomb. So hydrogen bomb.
Bomb.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. The second one.
In the past, some believe that experimental study under laboratory condition using palladium and platinum electrodes could in fact cause heavy hydrogen atoms into helium and release energy as the sun does.
Valeria, it's hydrogen.
Hydrogen. I try to get it.
Right. It's the open syllable. It's Y in the open syllable. Therefore, it has to be pronounced as I, not as E. Hydrogen. That's okay.
Okay.
Right. Thank you. So the words that you had to use are experimental study and laboratory conditions.
Yep.
Thank you. And
the next sentences are...
Valeria, no, thank you so much. I'm going to ask somebody else. The next sentence, Dmitry, please.
In carefully controlled experiments, researchers believed that could manipulate the variables arising from the complexity of the electrodes and other equipment used.
Thank you. So the correct answer would be manipulate the variables. Thank you. Next sentence, please, Hamza. Hamza?
Yes.
Could you do the next sentence in such?
From however, right?
Excuse me?
In such control condition, they argued cold fusion was possible. Should I continue?
No, thank you. In such controlled conditions, thank you. That is totally correct. And the last sentence in this box, Ruslan, please.
However, attempts to replicate some of the experiments which claimed to be successful failed, and many now believe that cold fusion is in fact theoretically impossible.
Thank you. The correct answer would be to replicate. Thank you. Now we're moving down to the second box. The first sentence from the second box, please, Sirajuddin.
Some linguists believe that we can best determine how language is processed by laboratory experiments.
Thank you so much. The correct answer is determine. And there is no sound S in English, so that's processed.
Okay.
Thank you. The next sentence, Arslan. The second sentence in second box. However, laboratory experiments.
However, laboratory experiments are by definition artificial and may not reflect what happens in the real world.
Thank you so much. That's artificial and reflect. Thank you. The next sentence.
Further? Other linguists.
No. Thank you, Arslan. The next sentence, Karam, please.
Other linguists believe, therefore, that empirical observation is better and prefer to carry out field studies and correlation studies of individuals in natural settings.
Mm-hmm. Right, so the correct answers are empirical observation and field studies. And what was the next one? After field studies, what kind of studies did you use?
Correlation.
I think it'll be case studies of individuals in natural settings. Since we're talking about, you know, the natural setting, I believe it should be case study. Thank you. Next one, Nur Sultan. In this way.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
I can. Go ahead.
Sorry, which sentence should I read?
That's in this way and so on. Box 2.
In this way, in-depth data can be collected by observers without interrupting with the process in any way, even though this may be a more time-consuming method.
Right, so
it should be interfering, I think, not interrupting.
yeah, it should be interfering because you got a preposition after the gap. All right, and if you use the word interrupt, you do not use prepositions with interrupt. You interrupt something, okay, but you interfere with something. So the correct answers would be in-depth, collected, interfering, and time-consuming. Thank you, Nur Sultan. And now the last one, Anastasia.
However, individual studies in real situation may not be representative of the general population of second language learners.
Thank you so much. So there'll be representative and population. Thank you. Please ask me questions on 41.1.
I have a question about, like, in the first paragraph, the last sentence.
First paragraph, last sentence. However, attempts to replicate some of the experiments. This one?
Can it be reproduced?
Attempt to reproduce some of the experiments which claim to be successfully failed. Yeah, can be reproduced, yes.
Thank you.
Please ask me some other questions.
There in that same, wait a second, in that same sentence, I have a question. Here I used recreate. However, attempts to recreate some of the experiments which claim blah, blah, blah. Can we use the word recreate?
Recreate, attempts to recreate some of the experiments. Yeah, you can, yes.
Thank you.
But you have to understand that the aim of this exercise is for you to use the words from the glossary.
Okay.
Please ask me some other questions on 41.1. All right, we move down to 41.2. 41.2, and I'm giving you the correct answers. Please check, and then I will answer any questions. So we're starting with carry out, and the three words that you could combine carry out with is a pilot study, an experiment, and a procedure. That's a pilot study, an experiment, and a procedure. Next one, employ and use. And the three words that you can combine employ or use with is a technique, a device, and a methodology. Once again, a technique, a device, and a methodology. And the last one, is apparatus. Now the three words are a piece of apparatus, to assemble apparatus, and to check apparatus. As a matter of fact, you can also employ or use a procedure. Right. Please ask me questions on 41.2. If any. Okay, we're moving down to 41.3. Once again, I want you to fill the gaps and read those sentences to me. So 41.3 and sentence 1, Vladimir, could you?
Okay. It was a new piece of apparatus, so we checked it first and then assembled it before using it.
Actually, I don't think you will be able to check something before you assemble it. So I think the logical thing to do would be to assemble something first and then to check it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Right, so you assemble it first and then check it. Thank you. And
Thank you.
yeah, number 2. Rabiul, please, number 2.
So
Number 41.3.
Yeah. The team carried out a pilot study before conducting the main procedure to see if the methodology they were using was reliable.
So it's the pilot study, procedure, and methodology.
Methodology.
Right. Thank you so much. Thank you. Number 3. Sami, could you do number 3, please? Number 3.
The team needed to employ a different technique for measuring the pressure, so they used a new device which they manufactured in their own laboratory.
Thank you so much. So it's technique and device. Thank you. Please ask me questions on 41.3.
Professor, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Can we use in the second sentence second gap experiment and the third method? We can use methodology or procedure. It's like the same. I mean, it depends on meaning.
Right. Yeah. If you can say the main experiment, that is an option. That would be okay. And you can also say to see if the procedure they were using was reliable. So you can use either methodology or procedure.
Okay, thank you.
That is possible. Please ask me some other questions on 41.3.
Professor, what were the answers for the last sentence, please?
Number 3, you mean?
Yeah, please.
So there'll be technique or procedure, and device or apparatus.
Okay.
Please ask me some other questions on 41.3. Okay, we go down to 41.4. In 41.4, you had to correct mistakes. So what I want you to do is to read the sentence and to explain what was the mistake and how you're supposed to be correcting. Okay? And number 1, Victor, please.
Okay, should I read first the original?
No, please, only read the corrected version.
Okay. It was very difficult to make reliable inferences from the data as we had so little.
So could you explain what was the mistake? And
yeah, well, the original was using interferences.
So why can't you use interferences?
I think we had the same explanation before, because there is this preposition. Reliable inferences.
Actually, the original is using interference, but the correct version would be inference. So those are like two different words, interference and inference. Okay, well, when you interfere, okay, you interrupt something. Like when you interfere into the process, you interrupt the process. Okay, but when you infer, okay, you make conclusions. So you make inference from the data, so you make conclusions from the data. Therefore, interference is completely out of place here. Okay?
Yeah.
Please ask me questions on one. Anybody? If you have those.
Professor, I have another slightly different variant of that sentence. I have, it was very difficult to make reliable inferences from the data since we had very little. I mean, I have the same thing with inferences, but at the end. Mm-hmm.
Right. First of all, as and since are perfect synonyms.
Mm-hmm.
And second of all, I don't really like the word very, okay, because you know, sounds rather primitive. So I would encourage you to avoid very as much as possible.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So basically, so little sounds better as compared to very little.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Any other questions on one? Okay, we move down to number 2. Please read the corrected version and explain what was the trouble with the original. G, could you do number 2?
Okay, so I read the original first and then...
No. Please only read the corrected version and explain what was the problem with the original, please.
Okay. Correlation study is a good way of seeing if one phenomenon is related to another in a systematic way.
Totally. The correct answers are phenomenon and systematic. Now, could you please explain?
I think here one is singular, one is plural. So here I use the singular one in that sense.
Can you be more specific as to which is singular and which is plural?
The phenomena and phenomenon is singular.
Yeah, phenomenon is singular.
Yes.
And phenomena?
Phenomena is plural.
Thank you so much. And could you explain system way? System and systematic? What's the difference?
In a systematic way, because I think it's more like a system is one, it's a noun, and in a systematic way, it's like kind of like a verb of some sort, action that you do.
Right. Well, first of all, systematic is an adjective.
Yeah, adjective, yes.
Right. But you know, like, could you explain why is it possible to say system breakdown?
System breakdown?
Yep. System is also acts as an adjective here.
In which context, like if we say the system broke down or system is breaking down?
No, actually, the system breakdown was caused by, I don't know, by something. System, go ahead.
Here the system is the object which broke down, right?
Yes, correct.
And it's an adjective, in what sense?
Okay, see, if you take a look at the original system way, you will see that a noun system as used as an adjective, it is possible in English. It is called conversion. All right. But for some reason, the system way is wrong. What I'm looking for is the explanation why it's wrong. Because, you know, system breakdown is okay. But system way is for some reason wrong. So what's the difference between system and systematic then?
In this specific sentences, it doesn't sound even correct the way I read it, but I'm not sure what is.
But why? Why doesn't it sound okay?
Even the pronunciation, when you talk about it, it doesn't sound right.
Okay. Can anybody help me out here? Can you explain the difference between system and systematic? System way and systematic way?
Can I try? Maybe
Ruslan, go ahead.
Maybe it depends on meanings. I mean, a system way, it's like about approach. I mean, systematic, it's like a periodically. I mean, and system way, it's like a whole process during. The main idea, it's different meanings of this phrase. I mean, for me.
Ruslan is totally right, actually. The meaning is different. System way and systematic way are different in terms of meaning. Okay, system way speaks about what and how something is done with the system. Okay, but systematic way is speaking about consistency. So a systematic way is a consistent way. So the difference is in meaning. Was I able to explain? G?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. So the correct answer is phenomenon, which is singular, and systematic.
Systematic.
Thank you. Now we go down to number 3. Number 3, Swati, could you do number 3, please?
Yes. So the experiment neither proved nor disproved Joseph's theory.
That's correct.
So yeah, so earlier there was disproved, which is changed to disproved.
What's wrong with disproved?
I mean, first thing that we're using proved, so opposite to proved is disproved, but like this when we say disproved, we do not accept anything, but when we say disproved, it somehow is like degrading the value of something. So we should use disproved with proved.
Right, it's a totally vocabulary issue, actually. So for some reason you say disprove, you don't say deprove, but you say deconstruct, you don't say disconstruct. So English is funny that way. Thank you. Number 4. Imre, could you do number 4, please?
Yes. We had to explain the unusual scores of 5 of the subjects in the sample whose totals were far below the norm. It is possible there were irregularities in the data.
Okay, can you explain?
Yeah. First of all, right after the comma, who all had totals well below the norm. I don't know why, but that sounds well, that doesn't sound right. So I changed it to whose totals were far below the norm. Just by moving totals well from who to well, and let it as whose totals were far. And then
okay, Imre, can I interrupt here, please?
Yes, please.
First of all, who all had is much better as to whose, because if you say who all had totals, it follows the the standard sentence structure,
Mm-hmm.
like subject plus verb. Okay, but if you go with whose, you kind of invert the sentence structure. You start with a modifier, which would be less effective as compared to the original structure, subject plus verb. So technically speaking, who all had totals well below the norm is okay.
So what will be the change here?
The trouble is with the word subject. The word subject is not spelled in the correct way.
Okay.
Okay, if you take a look at the original, you will see that the letter C is missing from the word subject. I understand that that is the French spelling probably. So in the word subject, the letter C is missing. That's number one. And number two, if you take a look at inaccuracies, you will see that the negative is not, the negative for this noun, accuracy, is not formed that way. It's inaccuracy. I mean, inaccuracy is possible, but the frequency is less. I mean, inaccuracy is very much less frequent as compared to inaccuracy.
Okay.
So those were the two problems with the original. Though irregularity.
So it was the subject. It was the S inside of the word subject. Well, subject.
It was a C in the subject.
The C in subject.
And
what else?
And in, not un, in inaccuracy.
In inaccuracy.
Right.
Okay.
It's inaccuracy, not inaccuracy.
Okay.
Inaccuracy is also possible, but it's less frequent as compared to inaccuracy.
Okay.
Though technically irregularity is also a possibility here. Okay, and the last one. Let's do the last one. And there'll be Anton. Could you do number 5, please?
Yes. An external observer can often unintentionally disrupt the behavior of the subject they are observing. The first one, incorrect to use exterior, because exterior usually refers to the outside surface, for example, of an object. But here actually correctly use external observer. External observer. But yes, but for example, you can use exterior for some walls, exterior walls, or others. I don't know, but here is incorrect to use exterior for observer. Yeah, and the second one is it's also incorrect to use the word erupt. Actually, before I didn't hear this word, and yes, and I absolutely agree to use disrupt correctly using here.
Right, but can you explain the difference between erupt and disrupt?
The difference is disrupt, erupt.
Can anybody explain the difference, please? Can you guys help us out? Erupt and disrupt.
I think erupt is about the volcanoes becoming active or something like this.
Sure.
Right, basically when you say erupt, you're speaking about something moving out of some volume at a velocity and at some pressure. That's erupt.
Yeah, that's true.
And when you say disrupt, that is basically well, violating, not violating, but I'm looking for the word. When you say disrupt, you just prevent something from functioning normally, from normal function. That's disrupt. Okay, and could you guys explain the difference between exterior observer and external observer to me? Anybody? So exterior observer and external observer.
Actually, we use outside observer. We just use from vocabulary.
Yeah, you can say outside. Outside is also possible. So what I'm looking for here is the difference between external observer and exterior observer.
I think I can say.
Swati, go ahead.
Yeah, external observer is like who is observing something from uh, from a outside from the defined boundary, but exterior observer is someone who is observing something outside.
Yeah, exterior observer.
External thing. The
Right.
person who is observing the external thing is called exterior observer.
Right, an exterior observer is somebody who looks at the outside surface of something. That's an exterior observer. Okay, and external observer is an observer who's outside of the system. Right, are we clear on that one? Thank you, Swati, by the way. Please ask me questions on 41.4.
Yeah, I have a question
Go ahead.
about the last sentence. They are observing. They are here means the external observer, but it's singular, and they are is plural. It's not a problem here.
It's kind of tricky. It has to do with political correctness, with the PC thing. Okay. There used to be the so-called neutral masculine. Okay, that is when you use he for the subjects of which you do not know the sex of.
Professor, the Karam is waiting for your acceptance.
I think I've just joined him.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Karam, are you here?
Yes, yes. Thank you.
Okay, you're okay? All right, cool. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Well, the Russian language does have, still does have that, okay? So for a Russian speaker, an observer would be a he, okay? Because the Russian language does have that, the so-called neutral masculine. The English language also used to have that, but since there is no formal grammatical gender in English, okay, an observer can refer to a female or to a male, okay. So it's kind of undefined, much more undefined as compared to the Russian language. So a more precise way of saying that would be the behavior of the subject he or she is observing. All right, but he or she is very inconvenient to use. Okay, it's much longer. Therefore, there is the so-called there is a convention when you use they for the subject of which you do not know the sex, the gender. All right. So since an observer can be he or she, all right, you're moving from the traditional way of using he as a neutral masculine. You're moving to the so-called neutral plural. Therefore, the sentence goes as they are observing. Anastasia, was I able to explain?
Yeah, I have a additional question here. Why don't make the external observers in plural?
You can. That would make the sentence more natural.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Actually, this is the way I would go with. Because me personally, I don't really like that neutral plural. So if you say external observers, blah blah blah, and the subjects they are observing, that would be that sentence would be less confusing, I guess.
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
Any other questions, please? Right. If you don't have any other questions, I think we're going to continue with your quiz.
Professor, before going to
Yes.
to the quiz, I have
Go
a
ahead.
small question regarding in that same part for 41.4, the third sentence. The experiment neither prove nor disprove Jessup's theory. Here I have a question. Could you please clarify it? Here it says the experiment neither prove or disprove. My question is, why is this structure correct? Because an experiment by itself doesn't prove anything. What proves something is the results of that experiment. I mean, we can set whatever experiment we want, and the experiment by itself, without any results yet, or without any outcome, it won't prove or disprove anything. So my question is, why is this structure, the experiment neither prove or disprove, is correct?
So the question is about neither nor. Am I understanding that right?
No, my question is why an experiment by itself and not the results of the experiment and not the outcome of the experiment can prove or disprove. So my idea will be something in there.
Yeah, if you say the experiment proved Jessup's theory, you're saying that Jessup's theory is correct. If you're saying that the experiment disproved Jessup's theory, you're saying that Jessup's theory is wrong. Okay, but that experiment did not give you enough data to say either of those things. Okay, so just am I explaining it?
No, not at all. My question is, for example, the experiment neither prove or disprove Jessup's theorem. My question is, why can we write before the experiment the results of the experiment or something else which actually relates to the outcome of the experiment? And this outcome was the one that actually proved or disproved, because an experiment cannot by itself prove something, just the outcome of that experiment.
Well, strictly speaking, you're correct, you're right, but okay, there is such a process, a linguistic process. It is called metonymy. A metonymy is transfer of the meaning of the whole to its part. So if you say the experiment results, those results are part of the experiment. Okay, that would technically be the most precise way of describing the situation. But there's also the so-called law of language economy. So a language tries to do things in the most economical way. Okay, so in the shortest possible way. Therefore, a language would use metonymy here. So instead of saying the experiment results, a language would say just the experiment.
So the word experiment in this case gets everything.
Totally. The word experiment is the whole, and it stands for the part of the experiment.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, any other questions, please? All right, I'm sending you the link. I'm sending you the link. The quiz is still closed. I'm going to open it now. I'm sending the link to your chat. And I'm sending the link to your Telegram group too. Let me open the link now. Oops, it's the wrong link, sorry. Sorry guys, that's the wrong link. Yeah, we need quiz 3. Okay, this is the correct link. And let me replicate it into your Telegram group. That's the one. I'm opening the quiz now.
Is it quiz number 4?
It's quiz number 3, actually.
Number 4 when I enter.
It's written number 4.
Yeah, but if you take a look, it's describing research methods, so you're okay. And the quiz is open now. It's the trouble with the number, I guess. So the quiz is open. Can you access the quiz?
Yes.
All right. Your 10 minutes. Your 10 minutes. They start now. Guys, you got 5 minutes left. You've got 1 minute left. I'm stopping the quiz in a minute. I'm stopping the quiz now. The quiz is stopped. What we're going to do now is to continue practicing for effective academic writing. Today we're going to concentrate on nominalization.
Professor, sorry, I have a question about quiz.
Go ahead.
I have correct answer, and it's the same as mine. I mean, in the first part, with the research manipulates. Oh, I can show you. I'm sorry. I mean, like that.
You mean like survey, this one?
Not survey. When a researcher manipulates experimental study. Oh, I'm sorry. I have only one way to show.
Yeah, we'll take that into account. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Professor, I also have a doubt. Like the first one, which says when a researcher observes and records some behavior or phenomenon, often over a prolonged period in a natural setting. So it should be naturalistic observation, but I just wrote naturalistic.
Well, I'm afraid you had to use the complete phrase, unfortunately.
Okay, that's okay. Thank you.
Okay. So, nominalization. So this is the link to Moodle. Could you please follow the link and get handout 1? Let me show you my screen. That's the handout that we're supposed to be looking at. We're going to start this handout during the class, and you'll have to finish it at home because there are 20 sentences and we will not be able to do all of them. Now, the original sentences, they all have ineffective nominalization. Now, could you remind me of what is nominalization, please? Anybody?
Nominalization.
Karam?
Yes.
Nominalization is when verb as known. No?
Valeria?
Yep.
Could you say that again, please?
Nominalization is a type of word formation when verb can be used as noun.
Right. Basically, nominalization is when you're using a noun where you should have used a verb or an adjective. Thank you, Valeria. Right. Thank you. Now, what we're going to do here is to take a look at the original versions. I'm going to give you 10 minutes. You will have to do as many sentences as possible. Your task is to make these sentences more effective by replacing nominalizations with verbs or adjectives. So take a look at the original, write a better sentence, and then we will discuss it. I'm giving you 10 minutes. Do you understand what you have to do? I'm taking that as a yes. So your 10 minutes, they start now. It's an individual work. Please write a better sentence. If you're not sure as to what is nominalization, you can go back to Moodle. You can go back to Moodle. You can go back to class. That's class 2, effective academic writing style. You can take a look at the presentation on principles of effective academic writing. Now, this is the presentation on the principles of effective academic writing, just in case. If you're not sure, if you need to remind yourself of nominalization. we're starting to discuss in a minute. All right, please stop where you are. We're starting to discuss. So what I want you to do is just to read the, just read your version. Do not read the original, okay? So number 1, Karam, can you?
Yes, we agreed not to buy the house.
Yeah, we agreed not to buy the house. So as you can see, made an agreement. It's agreement shows the action. It's nominalization, and that's why you have to replace it. Number 2, Manuel, can you do number 2, please? Manuel?
Yeah, sure.
Number 2.
I'm not sure if it's okay, but we will review the test results tomorrow.
Yeah, we will review the test results actually starting tomorrow.
Starting tomorrow, yeah.
Because if you say we'll review the test results tomorrow, that will be the slight change of meaning. Because, you know, the original says that the review will begin tomorrow. It does not say that the review will end tomorrow.
Okay, perfect. Got it.
Right,
Thank
so
you.
we'll review the test results starting tomorrow. Yes, ask me a question, please.
I have a question. How about if we say that as of tomorrow we'll review the results?
You can say as of tomorrow, but as of tomorrow is a very formal phrase.
Okay.
And it sounds very, very legal to me. Okay, so kind of legalese. So I wouldn't go with as of tomorrow, unless it's an official document.
And what about tomorrow onwards?
Tomorrow onwards, that's also is quite a formal phrase, and what is more, this is quite a let me say outdated phrase. It rakes the beginning of the 20th century.
Okay.
So I wouldn't go there.
What would be the ideal version?
The ideal version would be, I think, the one that G provided. We'll review the test results starting tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of, like, we also can say we will begin reviewing. Is it a good practice to use gerund with the verbs?
It depends. There are like 3 kinds of verbs, okay? Some verbs, they require gerunds. Some verbs, they require infinitives, and some other verbs, they can take either a gerund or infinitive depending on their meaning. Okay, this is quite complicated. There is no single rule for that. The only way out of this is to use a dictionary and check the combination, the combinatory rules for this or that verb. Okay, speaking about start and begin, you can use both. You start to do something or you start doing something. Okay, the same goes with begin. You begin doing something, you begin to do something. Okay, but if you choose between start and begin, I would go with start because it's shorter.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that Russian speakers would really be happy with begin, because this is like the first verb that they teach in Russian schools. But it's better to use start. Yeah, Sultan.
In terms of stylistic, from the stylistic point of view, so if we say like we start reviewing the test results tomorrow, we kind of dropped one nominalization, but at the same time, gerund is also somehow close to nominalization. So like, how does it look from the stylistic point of view?
I'm so glad you asked that, actually. See, technically, gerund is a verbal. So once you're replacing nominalization, once you're replacing the noun, that shows the process with a gerund, technically you're replacing a noun with a verbal form. So if you have a choice between a noun and a gerund, prefer gerund. If you have a choice between a gerund and a verb, you might want to prefer a verb. But generally speaking, gerund is better than a noun. Because it's a verbal, it shows process.
Thank you.
And any other questions on 2, please?
I have a question. The perfect will be, we will start review the test result tomorrow. Is it right?
Actually, that's another option. We'll start reviewing the test results tomorrow. Yeah, that's a possibility. Yeah.
I missed something, because if we will review and we will start to review, is it redundancy? Start and review. Can we choose only one word?
No.
Like I mean like a review, only a review. We will review.
If you say we will review, it means that you will finish the action tomorrow. But the original does not say that. The original says that you are going to start the process tomorrow, but it never says that you will finish the process tomorrow. If you say we'll review, you will imply that you will finish the process tomorrow.
Okay, it's right. It's right. Okay.
So actually, Ruslan has come up with a better version. So we will start reviewing the test results tomorrow. That's good. Thank you.
Professor, I have a question. That's this. Well, that's exactly my one of the variants I have. For example, I was kind of confused in that sentence, so I wrote 2. The first one is we will review. No, we will begin to review the test results tomorrow, or we will begin reviewing the test results tomorrow. Is that okay or not?
Actually, both are okay. I mean, both are okay as compared to the original. As I said, I would prefer using start to begin.
And yes, and here I have a question. You said that start is shorter than begin. They have the same amount of letters. What do you mean by shorter?
I mean in syllables.
Okay.
And start.
Okay,
so if you take a look at pronunciation, you will see that start is shorter.
Yes, definitely. Okay, thank you.
Please ask me some other questions on 2. Okay, number 3, please. Sirajidin, can you do number 3?
Yes, sure. The committee approved the plan yesterday.
The committee approved the plan yesterday. Perfect, thank you. So the committee approved the plan yesterday. Any questions on 3? Okay, number 4.
Professor, is it right
yes, go ahead.
to say the approved plan was given by the committee yesterday?
The approved plan was given by the committee yesterday? Actually, I would not go there because you're having passive. Okay, you're having passive and you're having by, which shows the doer of the action, the actor. So there is no need to use passive when you have the doer of the action. Therefore, the committee approved the plan yesterday would probably be a better version. Any other questions on 3?
Could you repeat, please, the correct answer?
So the correct answer for number 3 is the committee approved the plan yesterday.
Could we use a perfect tense here, or because it's a result, I guess, improved, maybe had improved or has improved?
Technically, if you use present perfect, that would be a change of meaning from the original, because the original used past simple.
Yes.
That's number one. And number two, once you've got yesterday, yesterday shows time. If you have, right, if you have time, you cannot use present perfect, because present perfect concentrates on the action, on the facts.
Sure.
I mean, yeah, right. Any other questions on 3? All right, let's do something tricky, okay? Number 4. Victor, can you do number 4, please?
Yes. The Frankfurt Observatory discovered a new planet that excited the scientific community.
They'll be okay with one minor correction. You might want to say discovered a new planet which excited the scientific community.
Okay.
Because if you say discovered a new planet that excited the scientific community, you're implying that it is the planet that excited the community. Though in fact, it is the discovery that excited the community. Right, so the good option would be the Frankfurt Observatory discovered a new planet, comma, which excited the scientific community. So as you can see, we're removing nominalization by having 2 clauses to the same sentence. Please ask me questions on 4.
Professor, here in that same sentence, my question is, why should we use which? Because which sounds somehow not clear. What are you meaning to actually? For example, you say which, it's not clear whether, I mean, at least not, I don't see it directly. What do you mean by which? The planet or the thing that the Frankfurt Observatory discovered, this new planet? I mean, how to discern from one of them, from both of them?
Right. Okay, first of all, let me speak about which. Okay, if you use a comma in front of which, it means that which part refers to the complete clause that precedes which. Okay, like the Frankfurt Observatory discovered a new planet, comma, which. So we imply, I mean, we relate to the whole clause. The Frankfurt Observatory discovered a new planet. That is, if we're using comma plus which.
Well, here it means
But
entirely
let me finish.
close.
Let me finish.
Sorry.
Okay, if you use comma plus which refers to the entire clause. But if you use just which with no comma, okay, which would be referring to the last noun that precedes which. Okay, so if you write the Frankfurt Observatory discovers a new planet which, okay, if you use no comma, that which would be referring to the planet. That's about which. Now, if we compare that and which, you would see that that is a less formal synonym to which. Okay, but that only refers to the last word that comes before it. Okay, so you can say the Frankfurt Observatory discovered a new planet that excited the community, and if you say that, you will imply that it's the planet. Okay, so that and which with no comma are the same.
And that's the reason why I here's the reason why I actually came up with another variant. For example, the Frankfurt Observatory discovered a new planet, comma, a fact that excited the scientific community. I mean, in order to be specific, that this entire discovery is the fact that actually excited the scientific community. I mean, so there is no doubt.
If you go there, that would be an imperfection which is called comma's place. So you're just using a comma to connect 2 clauses into one sentence, which is not the perfect way to do it. Okay, it's much better to use a transition, a conjunction or a relative pronoun that connects 2 clauses together. So using which here or that, if it would be possible, if it were possible, is a much better option because it provides a linkage from one clause to the other clause.
Okay.
Any other
Professor,
question? Yeah,
I
go
have a
ahead.
question.
Go ahead.
Can we say the new planet discovered by the Frankfurt Observatory excited the scientific community? We just change first part of the sentence. I mean, like.
Technically you could, but that variant would be inferior to the one we have just discussed with Victor, okay? Because in your option, you will have a long subject.
Ah, okay.
And it's much better to have your subject and your verb as close together as possible.
Okay.
If you take a look at Victor's variant, the Frankfurt Observatory discovered, you will see that the subject, Frankfurt Observatory, consists of only 2 words, and it is just immediately in front of the verb which is discovered.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, this is quite a common mistake if you use a very long subject. Long subjects, they make your sentences very difficult to read, which is actually the problem with the original. The discovery of the new planet by the Frankfurt Observatory. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 words. The subject of 9 words. It's very non-readable.
Okay.
Any other questions on 4? Okay, let's do number 5. I think that'll be the last one that we would be able to do in class. So, number 5, Arslan, please.
The staff failed to organize the festival properly, causing disappointment to us.
It's a possibility. I would go with when the staff failed to organize the festival properly, they disappointed us. So you're having a simpler structure here. And if you have a choice between a gerund and, well, technically, this is not a gerund that you use. Technically, this is the ing participle, participle 1. If you have a choice between a participle and a verb, it's better to prefer a verb. So once again, when the staff failed to organize the festival properly, they disappointed us. Ask me questions, please.
Can we use which, Professor?
I'm sorry, Sirachidin.
Okay.
Yeah, the same as. My variant was the staff failed to organize the festival properly, comma, which disappointed us. What do you think about it?
Yeah, that's a possibility. That's a possibility, but you have to be careful with this one. You know, this stuff with comma and which. Okay. So if you say the staff failed to organize the festival properly, comma, which disappointed us, that's a possibility. That's an effective sentence, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Imre?
Oh, it was actually the same question.
All right, okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions on 5?
Yeah, I actually used the shorter version that we disappointed the failure of the staff to coordinate the festival. So it is okay. So
no, you cannot really say that because you're saying you disappointed the failure. Okay, but a failure is not an animated subject, and it cannot be disappointed. Okay. So for your sentence to become grammatical, you would have to use passive voice, which is not the best option here. So if you use passive voice, you would move from one imperfection to the other imperfection.
No, I do not use the passive. I just use simple sentence that we disappointed the failure of the staff to coordinate the festival.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If you say we disappointed the failure, okay, you imply that failure is a subject that can experience emotions. All right, but failure is not a subject.
Yes.
It's not animated. It cannot experience any emotion. Failure is just abstract noun. Failure is just a process. I mean, we use the word failure to show the process. We're showing what happened. So what happened? The staff failed. All right.
Yep. Yeah.
Was able to explain?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions on 5?
Kindly repeat the correct answer, Professor.
Yeah, I would go with when the staff failed to organize the festival properly, they disappointed us. Or, as Sirajudin's and Imre's variants, the staff failed to organize the festival properly, comma, which disappointed us.
All right, I think I read the second version, the one that you just spoken about.
That's okay. But you have to remember about that comma which
comma.
and just which, because, you know, it makes a difference.
All right.
Okay, I think we'll stop here. You'll have to finish this handout by Monday. This is not a submission. You do not have to submit this handout for me for the checkup. We're going to discuss your options on Monday. That's number 1. And number 2, you're having your new academic vocabulary glossary. It's on Moodle. And you also have a new set of exercises on that glossary. It is also on Moodle. That's your home assignment 7. And the procedure would be the same for the next Thursday. We will discuss the exercises, and then you will do the quiz. That is your home task. Please ask me the questions.
Professor, could you please repeat just real quick? How many homeworks do we have for Monday? Because I'm kind of lost.
For Monday, you got 1. For Monday, you have to finish this handout. This is not a submission. You finish the handout. You finish the handout, and we'll check it in class. We'll discuss it in class the same way we did it today.
Okay.
That's for Monday. Now for Thursday, it's the next glossary. The exercises and the glossary are on Moodle. That's home assignment 7.
Okay.
And there will be a quiz, a 10-minute quiz as usual on Thursday.
Okay. Thank you.
Please ask me some other questions.
And I see we have research essay also submit by Monday, right?
Excuse me?
We have to submit research essay by Monday, as I remember.
No, your research essay is not due.
It's till Monday, September 7, due to ICU.
Let me see.
Till 4 p.m.
Your research essay.
It's research essay practice.
I see.
Yeah, that's not research essay.
Thank you. Okay.
Your research essay, let me see. Research essay. Okay, somewhere in October. October 15th. That's your research essay submission date.
Thank you. Sorry for my mistake.
It's in syllabus. Any other questions? Right, I understand if you don't have any other questions, that will be all for this class, and I will see you Monday. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thank you.